companies and other organizations preparing to partner on an NSERC grant are a very important part of the NSERC site visit. The applicant should work with staff at their institution to ensure all participants in the grant, including any industrial partners, are available on the day of the visit to speak on behalf of the application.
Preparing for a site visit is really the cornerstone, the key aspect of the entire grant process. And it's very important to make sure that you show in the site visit that you've done all the background work to set up a joint proposal and a joint project between the academic and the industry. So this represents really you discussing about the project in general and your component of the project and how the academic is going to interact on that, as opposed to just talking simply about maybe you'll attend some meetings or you'll review some documents. It has to show real engagement in the project.
For our site visit, we had quite a few people lined up to speak. Everybody from the president to the vice president for corporate and finance to talk about the context, the strategic context and the financial context and support that we are offering, right on down through the director of the Food Innovation Research Studio, who's a food scientist, to the chef, who's the head of the chef school, project managers, and obviously industry partners and other people involved in the enterprise. And we just simply asked them to tell their story about what was good about working with us. We felt that that was the best way to get an honest assessment from our industry partners for the site visit committee to learn what it is that we're here, which again, as I said, is training highly qualified and skilled personnel ready to work in industry and helping industry get new products to market.
With that sense of inclusion with your industry partners as well, their feedback is very, very important. So they want to come through the door not only understanding your project, but also on your team. They're pulling for you. And it's creating that sense of team and creating that sense of opportunity for everyone. And that permeates the air during the site visit.
Being prepared involves working with the team of proponents in advance. Partners must know the details of the proposal and be able to field questions with ease. They should be prepared to share how the collaboration came into being, how they plan to use the results of the research in their work, and how they will actively support and work with the research team throughout the project.
The industry should be convinced or should want to see this as their project in which the academic is helping out with their expertise and their support, and there's leverage from NSERC. If that in the site visit is conveyed to the committee, then you have a really good chance of having really good support.
Certainly with working with the committee itself, from an industry partner, they had some questions with regards to maybe more the commercialization and the business perspective of what was being done, which I was able to answer from working in the business and working in the industry. Again, it was a good collaboration between the academic part of the actual interview versus the business part of the interview and the practicality of the actual application being put forward to us. So I was able to at least provide from an industry perspective the knowledge that we had. And this looks like a doable opportunity and well worth putting in some NSERC money into seeing this go forward into maybe commercialization of some type.
I think you talk about the project. You talk about the project in terms of ownership, of the company owning the project and the academic helping out on the project, or collaboration between the two. You talk about what sort of things the company is going to do in their operation to support the project, and where you see this growing new business.
And I think the idea of being able to utilize some of those, some of the previous experiences we've had with working, how they have helped us in our business, was certainly something that, from maybe more the academic side, they may not have been able to see just how you can utilize some of this stuff more in industry, and how it can, make us technology leaders and give us a little bit of a leapfrog over the competition.
The applicant will usually arrange a dry run rehearsal in advance of the site visit to go over the day's agenda and set expectations. Partners should ensure that they are part of this rehearsal, as they will be included in the in-camera meeting without the applicant and must know the details of the application.
if it's possible for the industrial partner to physically be at the presentation, and because the industrial partner will have a presentation themselves, you can tone the story so that what the industrial partner is saying ties in with what the academics are selling as the novelty behind the work. Finally, if you have an industrial team with you during the site visit, it's also important to make sure that they have something to say to the site committee members in terms of these technical issues that will arise, or the relevance of doing this work for that particular industry. Really, the industrial partner should be focusing on this rather than explaining technical research to the site committee visit. It's a good task separation, and a good site visit is important.